My next guest is the executive vice president at the National Taxpayers Union, Brandon. Minimum, just for the transition, nothing else. No military, courts, salaries, federal workforce, federal grant programs, just the green energy transition. Minimum $3 trillion.
I mean, if you're going to go, you might as well go big, right? Let's spend trillions and trillions of dollars that we don't have. By the way, we just hit $35 trillion on the national debt this week. There is no sign of relief in sight. Unfortunately, this administration just keeps spending money that we do not have. And we've already dedicated, of course, to the green agenda, $1 trillion under this president in the form of the Inflation Reduction Act. Money, of course, that will go to Californians who are driving EVs that they would have purchased anyway, subsidizing large companies to build green energy projects that, who knows, may come online in a couple years. Likely it'll be a long time. We've seen the inefficiency of the federal government when it comes to building EV charging stations. Spend $7.5 billion on these charging stations. We've brought 8 online that I'm aware of thus far. So it's just a waste of money that we don't have. It's frustrating. And instead of putting out the fire, they're pouring more gasoline on it.
She said 2050. That means, because we're halfway through 2024, for the next 25 years, they're going to spend a minimum of $3 trillion per year. They can't even tell you if this is going to be done in 25 years. And when you basically force us off efficient energy to inefficient, more expensive energy, where's the economic growth going to come from? Now, it's really the problem with central planners is they demand unlimited time, unlimited patience, and unlimited resources, while they themselves do not participate in the plan, which gives them the freedom or the privilege to continue to make the plans because they have all the time in the world, right? If you have unlimited resources, unlimited time, maybe in 25 years you could run New York City off of pinwheels. Maybe you won't. We'll just need another 25 years.
Yeah, and meanwhile, as we're in this global race to create jobs, to develop new technologies, to win the war on cutting edge technologies like AI, guess where these companies are going to innovate and grow and create these types of new innovations? Well, low energy is a huge input cost for a lot of these businesses, whether it's crypto or traditional manufacturing. Low energy costs are absolutely critical to having that on your soil. When you start raising energy costs, or when you start creating unpredictability with the reliability of energy, guess what? You're just pushing these companies, pushing these innovations, this new research and development overseas. And our international competitors absolutely love it, because guess what? China isn't going to back down. China isn't going to shoot itself in the foot this way.
Look where we are right now. I just went over a statistic that 86% of people who don't own a home don't think likely in the near future, or even their lifetime, they're going to be able to own one. They're kind of treating the United States like global warming is our fault. Everything is our fault, so we must now pay, even though the engine of the U.S. economy and our military strength is what defeated the most brutal and dictatorial regimes that known to man, and allowed other nations to prosper through trade and innovation with the United States. And they're saying we have to rip that all away and power this economy with something we know isn't efficient. But you know what? It won't affect the BlackRocks of the world who are or the upper 1% of the Democrat elite. They will be just fine. The prospects of people yet to be born, we're talking 25 years, will be completely torn asunder.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a huge disconnect. It's the let them drive EVs moment of this presidency, just like the Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake. Well, guess what? We can't always afford to drive the cutting edge vehicles that they would like us to drive. We can't always afford to pay many times the cost of our electricity to keep our houses warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Sometimes we have to do what's most affordable. And until they're simultaneously driving down prices and also ensuring that we have reliability in our energy grid, Guess what? It's not a viable technology. And you don't need to believe me. Just look at Europe. They've gone into complete basket case mode over there. They have high energy prices, shoddy reliability. They've had to rely on coal, one of the dirtiest forms of electricity, because they shut down all their natural gas plants there, trying to get out ahead of this green energy craze. Listen, there's nothing wrong with adding green energy into our portfolio, but we need to do so in a way that is not completely posing lower income Americans and really undermining our global competitiveness in the process.
But if you think with inflation and interest rates and yes, taxes, the Democrats do something very demonic. They promise the majority that they will get largesse and the rich people will pay for it. And then the rich people make donations to Democrat campaigns, and then they get loopholes and deductions to make sure they don't actually pay for these things. And like you said, we hit $35 trillion. It's because the two promises are contradictory. You can't promise the masses they're going to get a free lunch at the expense of the rich and then tell the rich they don't have to pay for the free lunch when it's all said and done. And this is part of the problem. The tax base will not be able to support this. We will be looking, if you live in a state like I live in New Jersey, I'm already at about 50% of my income. We're going to end up being like the Europeans, paying 50, 60, maybe 70%. Kamala Harris did say we should have that conversation about 70 and 80% tax rates.
Yeah, they've created a Rube Goldberg machine out of our tax code, essentially, by creating all these special deductions and credits to favor behaviors that they like, raising taxes on everybody and saying, hey, if you do what we like, whether that's driving an EV or buying what we like, then we'll let you have a little bit of your money back. It's very much a controlling big brother type philosophy when it comes to tax policy. I'm in Maryland. I feel your pain in New Jersey. We have similarly high taxes. We have very strong regulations here that have held back our ability to grow and really held back our economy. It's incredibly frustrating here. Obviously, the answer is just to provide lower taxes across the board, to stop picking and choosing which industries we like and we don't like. Let people have some of their own money so they can actually afford basic necessities like their utility bills and rent and grocery bills and everything. And unfortunately, that hasn't been the case the past few years.
All right. I got to leave it there. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks as always.